Good morning, everybody, to today's webinar. My name is Corbinian Zollner. I have my colleague with me, Arne Ottens. We're both from the pre-sales, the solution architect team here at Starburst in Europe. And today we're going to go through the exciting journey from data to dashboard. And you'll see how that looks in action as well on our platform. Before we start, a few logistics. You see the chat window on your screen. Use that to answer all of your to ask all of your questions, and we'll try to answer them either in the chat window or in the Q&A session directly as soon as possible. So let's dive into the content of this 30-minute webinar. Just imagine a world where your organization has instant access to the data that you need to make critical decisions, that the business needs to make critical business decisions, to put you ahead of your competition. It's an imagination, and the reality is a bit like this, 22%. What is 22%? Well, 22% of organizations feel that they effectively leverage their data and analytics capabilities. That's not a high number, is it? There's another number, 6 to 8 weeks. What is 6 to 8 weeks? Well, that's the average time that it takes for businesses to actually gain insight from the data. So what does it mean? Imagine a scenario where you need to build a new initiative on a new product for your customers, but you need to analyze customer behavior. What you would do is to go to your IT department, ask them for a new report that is not there yet, that shows this new behavior. And then the IT department would need to find out and identify which data is available, go to the different data owners, kind of harmonize it through data engineers in a data warehouse or a centralized repository or a database. Then a data analyst or a data scientist would be able to clean the data, make sure the quality is right, deduplicate the data sets, and then at some point a report can be built and can be provided to the business. Maybe that's too late. That takes 6 to 8 weeks, or you could also say it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get from data to dashboard. CEOs today, they dream about AI. They dream about the great initiatives, but the CTOs, or maybe also the CIOs and CDOs, they face the realities. The IT faces the reality. There are a few key challenges that block the success of AI projects. One is data silos, organically grown over many years, many data silos, hundreds and thousands of different applications and data sources that are available in the average enterprise. Data silos prevent a good data quality. It makes it hard to get a consistent view on the data. And even if you had it, then data access is still scattered amongst various sources. It's hard to provide secure access so that people can only see the data they are supposed to see, but also in a timely manner. Those are the challenges, and we are here to bring a solution. Entering Starburst is the easy way to access data. We provide an end-to-end analytics and AI lakehouse platform that provides superior price performance and that you can either use as a SaaS solution with Starburst Galaxy that you'll see today, or you deploy and manage it yourself with Starburst Enterprise in the cloud, in your own data center, or as a hybrid solution. What does Starburst do? In a nutshell, we bring together data sources and data consumers. We have connectors to various data sources, and then with these connectors, we get the data into the open data lakehouse platform. It's open because it gives you the freedom and the optionality to use the underlying storage and the file formats and table formats that you want. And it also gives you the flexibility to combine those. And it serves that data through connectors again to your use cases, to your users. That can be AI and ML use cases. It can be data applications where you provide services, where you gather data and provide it to your customers or internal users. It can be BI use cases or classical dashboard and reporting use cases I will see today, or data science use cases. So it's an open lakehouse platform bridging the gap between the silos, untapping the data in the sources, bringing it to the consumers, users, and use cases. Why is that needed? Well, the business has priorities and it faces these data challenges that we've addressed in the beginning. Let's take a look at a few industries. Let's take a look at the insurance industry. Insurance tries to improve underwriting accuracy by analyzing the historical claims data, by understanding customer demographics and the risk factors. The areas are claims, but it's also developing new and innovative products, but also, of course, in a very highly regulated environment to meet the regulatory compliance. The challenge in insurances is very often that business units are segmented, and with that, the data is. Let's take a look at claims versus sales, for instance. Very often, two different worlds, totally disconnected from each other. Or internal data that is being used for internal sales versus agencies, where you have hundreds and thousands of agencies out there in the field trying to win new customers for you. That's a challenge. Health and life sciences. It's key for the success of a product in the pharmaceutical area to improve the time to market and to get approval for new drugs and new products as fast as possible. It can take years. So speeding that process up is critical. You need to have access to clinical trials. You need to you have R&D departments. Genomic data leads to large volume of data. And the challenge often is slow query performance on the one side, but on the other side, it's also that the data is so much scattered and distributed across so many sources. And especially in R&D, we see that literally every team has an internal and an external database or multiple databases that they maintain themselves. And data sharing would be needed to drive consistent results. But unfortunately, data sharing is not the reality just yet. And then we have banking. It's critical to understand customer behavior because you have multiple ways how you want to gain new business. You have a mobile channel, you have the branches, you have online. And knowing your customer to provide personalized offers is critical there. On the other side, banks are supposed to protect our money as well. Fraud detection in real time is important. The challenges there are also, it's a highly regulated industry, and rightfully so, right? We want our money to be safe and protected. The infrastructure is siloed, and global banks, they operate on a global scale in multiple locations. So that data needs to be combined at some point as well to do the right, to drive the right decisions. You see a very small list of the hundreds of customers that we serve globally in these industries. And especially in banking, it's not just HSBC, but 7 of the 10 largest banks in the world that trust Starburst to address the data challenges that they have. So we've talked about it now for some time. Now let's see it in action. And let me hand over to my colleague Arne.
Thank you, Corby. Let me share my screen and let's dive into it. First of all, welcome from my side as well. Glad you're here for our webinar. And what Corby just discussed, we want to see in a demo. And as the title of this webinar suggests, we want to get to a dashboard. A typical dashboard may look like this. Here's an example Power BI report, and we will be using Power BI throughout this demo. But till you get to this point where you have a beautiful dashboard showing you what you need to know, it can be a long journey. As Corby said, 6 to 8 weeks. We just have a couple minutes, so we won't take that long, and we can show you how to accelerate that. So this dashboard obviously will be served through a data product. You might know data products already. For those that don't, from this whole data mesh conversation we had over the last couple of years, what really stays nowadays is this concept of a data product, where you not only have just data sets scattered around, but you also have it enriched with your documentation, with clear ownership, with metrics that you can really make sense of your data without having to run around and ask different people. These curated data sets, some call it the gold layer, they need to be served from somewhere, right? And with Starburst, obviously, we will be using the Starburst engine to serve those data products. And the underlying open source engine is called Trino. It is deployed at massive scale out there. The largest companies in the world, they are relying on that technology. But obviously, not everyone can maintain an open source project on their own. So that's what we're here for. We bring you the enterprise support, enterprise capabilities to run it within your business without the need of being a large shop like Facebook, for example. For our example, the Starburst engine will serve the data products with data being sourced from 3 different data sources. In our example, we will be using data from an S3 data lake. We will be using data from a Postgres database, traditional relational database, and a NoSQL database, MongoDB. So our data will be scattered across these different sources, but we want to make them available for our Power BI dashboard. And this is exactly what I'm going to show you now using Starburst. So let me switch to my Starburst environment. Here within Starburst, that's our SaaS offering. I'm greeted with where I left off the last time. So I don't need much time to get right back into it. No mind games I have to play. I exactly know where I left the work and can progress. For our demo now, what we need is our data sources, right? So that's what we will do first. We will connect to our data sources that's here on the catalogs, and I can just create a new catalog right away. And doing so is super easy. I select the data source I want to connect to, Postgres in this example, select the cloud where it's hosted, provide a name to it, Postgres demo, for example, and then I select the mechanism I want to connect with through either a direct connection, private link connection, bastion host connection, to add an additional layer of security. I will do just that. And now it's the usual config items you would expect: the host name, a port number, a database user, the database name itself, and then of course a password. Just let me copy paste that from my cheat sheet. And now we can test our connection, and we see we can connect to it. And it's that easy to connect the data source to the Starburst engine. Now you see I have already a couple of data sources connected, also the other ones we will be using, but I don't want to manually scroll through all these data sources, right? So there is a search capability built in that's let me search for the data I'm interested in this case, the Jeffel data. And here we see the possible results, and I can go into the details to see what's actually there. And we want to be working with this data in order to create a data product and then ultimately serve that data product to Power BI. So how do I interact with this data? We haven't a query editor for this built into the product, but you can obviously use whatever database tool you're already using today. Just connect to it as you would be doing through a BI client. Works the same way for a typical database tool. And here I do now have my different data sources and a couple queries. So you would expect that I can run a simple select star against a Postgres database without issue, and voila, you can do so without issues. But we can now also write a SQL query against the MongoDB data source. And MongoDB is a NoSQL database, so it's completely different, but Starburst takes care about the translation into the underlying technology. And the same is true for our data lake, for example. With this query, I'm now reading iceberg tables in S3, works the exact same way. And the cool thing now is when federation comes into play, now I'm running a select query against all those 3 different data sources, and they just behave like tables in the very same database, even though they are completely different technologies. So this is the first step in making data from various sources available. Now, obviously, we don't want to have end users have to remember what kind of information is stored in what kind of database technology. We want to make it easy for them. And this is where data products come into play. In this example, I will just create a very large SQL statement to provide you a result that we want to be working with. But you could use tools like dbt to orchestrate all that and make it even easier than that. Of course, the end users also do not want to have this complex statement here. That's where the data products come into play. We now have our one big order table right here. We want to expose that through a data product. there is this handy button right here where we can create a data product from this existing result. We want to create a new one, and we will be guided through this process with a simple wizard. Give it a name, save and continue. And now we can give it a name. I just call it AO Sheffield Shop data, provide a summary. Oh, that's my Sheffield Shop gold layer, for example. And then we can provide a documentation, a description in Markdown format. I just copy paste that from my cheat sheet again. And then we can add additional URLs for external documentation, for example, even our dashboards if you want to, and then provide contacts. I put myself in there, that you know who owns this, who is responsible for that. So if you have questions about usage, about whatsoever, you know exactly who to contact and get the process started. We don't want to have this one, and save and continue. Now we can decide, do we want to have a logical view, a materialized view, a table? And we go with a view in this example and create the data set. Now my data product is being created. It's done. And we can see right here in our data product marketplace, we see the documentation, we see our data sets that belong to that information. And now in the next step, we will be able to use that through Power BI. So let me jump into Power BI. Right now, we do not have any data source connected. So let's do that quickly. Get data, more, and then search for Starburst. You see there's a Starburst connector right built into Power BI. We want to connect. And obviously, we need to have our host name. Again, my smart cheat sheet comes into play, a port number, and then we want to select direct query because we want to query the data through Starburst rather than import it from Starburst. And now it's stored in the background my credentials. I would, in the dry run earlier, I provided username and password as an LDAP connectivity, and now I have access to all my data. We go through the list of the data sources where our data product is stored. I stored it in the Glue catalog, and there we see it. We have our Sheffield Shop gold layer. Open that one, and within there we have our one big order table, and it's now being loaded and evaluated by Power BI. And we can load it. So now Power BI is taking care of the rest. In a second, it will have all the data types over here. There we go. We have our order table over here. And now let's create a simple dashboard. What about the location? We want to have the location and the total amount spent in that location as a pie chart. So there we have it, our beautiful Power BI dashboard. I know I'm no dashboard wizard, but it gives you an idea how the whole process works. So if we go back to the Starburst now, then we can see, if we go into Query Insights, the completed queries, that the Power BI issued these queries and what it actually did. Let me do it full screen. There we see the exact query Power BI issued in order to get to the result that it showed it to us. So what did we do in the last couple minutes? We essentially showed you how Starburst supports the entire data value chain that is there. We started by connecting to various data sources. So in this example, we focused on the different data source technologies. But of course, it could be different data sources from different departments, data from different regions. You can just connect to everything that there is, independent from where it lives. And then the next iteration was connecting these data sources through a simple SQL query and then making it available as a aggregated data product. And these data products, they really let you create use case specific bundles of curated data sets that belong together and serve set use cases. And they abstract away the entire complexity that you have behind the scenes. Because to be honest, the end user doesn't need to know whether the data comes through 3, 4, 5 different data sources, or there's this magic table that serves all their needs. And then last but not least, it serves your AI and analytics purposes, be it AI and ML initiatives, be it near real-time analytics, 360 business intelligence, all that kind of use cases can easily be served. Speaking about AI, there's one more thing. So let's quickly go back to Starburst itself. And you remember that we have this data product, right? And sometimes if you have repetitive tasks, you want to see a dashboard and work with that dashboard directly, right? But if you have a new idea that you want to follow up with, then I need to go into the query editor. Then you don't have a dashboard at hand, for example, but you want to ask a question and you do not want to write complex SQLs, right? You want to ask that question in natural language. And for the folks who are a little bit deeper into the whole data bubble, Uber, for example, just released something they call Query GPT, a LLM for generating SQL statements from natural language. And this is a capability we have built into the product. So let's say we want to know, give me the 5 customers. Oh, give me the 5 customers with the highest lifetime spent. Maybe I want to send them a gift card or something. Oh, classic demo feature that we face an error. Maybe I need to use a different one. Then I just want to show you this. So I have some Olympics data in here. Maybe we can, who won the men's marathon? Now it's thinking, it's a good sign. And hopefully we will get there we got a SQL query that we can copy over to a new window and let it run. This is now all unscripted, so things are not that easy, but you get the idea. I would have expected a good result over here. It generates the SQL for you so that you have a basis to work with. The demo gods are not with me today. Sorry for that. But anyhow, you saw how quickly we can get from the various data sources to a BI dashboard. And with that, I want to hand it back over to Corby.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Arne. So what we've seen, we've created a simpler world with an open data lakehouse. We've addressed the challenge of data silos that should not be a problem anymore. We can tap into the data source now. We can explore and analyze the data that is there. And Arne, maybe you can click. Thank you. We have a simplified architecture, so the data can stay at the source. It can remain where it is. But if I want to bring it and to centralize it, bring it together in the lakehouse, I have the high performance analytics of a distributed query engine. Then data quality. We can minimize the number of ETL processing and hence the number of copies. Even just a move to the cloud initiative has more than 5 copies on average that are being created, and those mean bad data quality and very prone to error as well. Self-service, we can democratize the data access, enable users to explore what data is available. You've seen the search functionality, and improve the quality of our output. Data products bring back the power to the domain experts. They can create highly curated data sets. And we've had a question on that in the chat as well. Thank you for this already. A highly curated data set that will also improve the output of AI models. Then we have quality dashboards. We haven't seen that today, but on your schemas, on your data sets, you can have AI assistants within our Starburst Galaxy that shows you highlights about the quality in your data and help you improve the quality of your data. Data access, it's very easy to start. There are no proprietary skills or technology needed. We use standard ANSI SQL, and our connectors translate whatever dialect or proprietary language there might be in the data source. The data access can be governed and can be secured. We have built-in access controls where you have very fine-grained capabilities to make sure that only the people who are supposed to see the data actually get access to it. And you have a unified access layer. It's a single point of data access rather than having to manage it for every single source separately and differently. So what's the result of all of this? We've had 6 to 8 weeks to get from data to dashboard. Today we've done it in 15 minutes, but in a model where you have integrated it and maybe use an LLM model as we've seen in the demo, it can be seconds. So from data to dashboard in seconds, which should increase that number of organizations that feel confident to have data-driven decisions and trust in their data. So what's next? I think we have so far answered all the questions in the chat. If there are other questions, please put them into the chat right now. We'll also stay around for a couple of more minutes after the webinar. So we should be able to answer your questions in the chat then as well. What's next? The recording of this webinar will be sent to you via email along with some useful links, also some tutorials where you can try this out, what we've shown today yourself. And please put out your phones, already bookmark the next page and register for the next webinar. You've seen it now from us, Starburst and Starburst in Action. We will have a webinar every month now where customers tell their story, tell their journey with Starburst and how they managed to bring data closer to the business. We will start with a customer from Germany called Thinksurance, very innovative customer who is providing digital products to their customers, to insurance companies. And we have the honor to have Kleber Barbado, who is the lead of the data team and the architect of the big data unit at Thinksurance. And he will tell us how Starburst gave him the flexibility to combine Hive and Iceberg on a Lakehouse engine and to build an automated data quality platform with Thinksurance. That's going to take place on March 20. The QR code will lead you to the registration page, same time as today, 1 month from today. Happy to welcome you again for that webinar as well. If no other questions in the chat come up, then I want to thank you for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed it and you'll sign up for the next one. Thank you very much.